Man, you hear it? Whoa, look at this. Let me get off this roof. Holy moly. All right, today's the day that I work on the solar system for the tiny cabin. Most of the components are made from Renogy. You can see I got the Renogy inverter, the 700 watt. And so what I'm doing here is just placing it out on a board because I'm going to attach it to this board, trying to figure out the best way to do that. So there's the Renogy 700 watt inverter. It's got a couple of outlets on it and a USB. And then this is the Renogy Rover MPPT charge controller. It's a 30 amp charge controller. And then I also have this Blue Sea fuse block that I'm going to run everything through. And then I can also tie in some 12 volt appliances to that. Everything that you see here that I've purchased is all based off the recommendation from Will Prose over at DIY Solar Power. He's got a YouTube channel. You guys have probably heard of him. This is based off of his minimalist system that he has on his blueprints on his website. There I got some 10 gauge wire to run from the charge controller to the fuse block. This is copper wire. I understand that you got to be careful. You don't want to get any aluminum clad copper wire. And these are some lugs that I'm going to use to some connectors to connect to the wires. And those are also pure copper. Definitely you don't want the copper clad. And then for that fuse block we have some fuses, because one of the fuses is going to be a 40 amp fuse that goes from in between the charge controller and the battery. Then on this little piece of paper here, this little piece of cardboard, I have my plans wrote down. Can't really see them there, but that's helping me hook it all up. Also got some heat shrink, some heat wrap to go around the connections once the connectors are put on the wire. It's gonna have a real nice clean look. Of course I got a heat gun, Harbor Freight, I don't know, 15 bucks. Everything that you see here can be purchased off of Amazon, including these crimper slash cutters, along with these wire strippers here. These little Chinese wire strippers are just, they're okay. I wouldn't recommend them. There's better ones out there. But most everything here was purchased off of Amazon. And then these are just some nylon wire straps to drill down to the board to hold the wires in place. All right, let's get started. It's gonna go fast here. I'm just trying to figure out where I want to place everything, because once I screw it down, it's gonna be there for good. I'm trying to make the shortest runs as possible. So there's some of the other solar charge MC4 connector cables right there on the bottom, up the top, and then look at that little Chinese regulator or controller is what came with it. So this is a much better charge controller. It's an MPPT 30 amp Renogy Rover, and it comes with these little feet that you can bolt on to the bottom of it, so you can get a better shot there, that allow you to screw it down to the board. So there's 4 of those. I'll just put those on real quick. Everything was pretty straightforward and cut and dry. If you go to DIY Solar, Will Prose has it's Prouse or Prouse, I think it's Prouse, has a website that really great illustration and shows you how to put all this stuff together, detailed instructions. It was really, really helpful. So now I just got some little screws that I'm attaching onto the board to secure the inverter. And then the same thing for the charge controller. And then the Blue Sea fuse box has four spots to put bolts, screws in. So I attach that right underneath the inverter. I really wanted like a minimal amount of maintenance as possible for this system, and so I got the lithium iron phosphate battery, also Renogy 100 amp hour, and I did order a Renogy 100 watt solar panel, but it showed up at the house totally shattered. The thing was just shattered. The way it was packaged was just really a joke. So I ended up sending that thing back immediately. Like, I got in my truck and drove to the UPS store and sent it back immediately, and ended up going with a Sun Gold Power 100 watt panel. And the way it came packaged with all the foam and everything, it was in perfect condition. So I'm not sure about how it would perform. I really wanted everything to be Renogy, but it is what it is. So right now I'm attaching the cables to the inverter, and then I'm going to clip them very short and attach them to the fuse block, which is going to require putting these copper connectors on, and of course using that shrink wrap to protect the connection, make it look really clean. I would say it probably took me about an hour and 45 minutes to do all of this. Of course, you guys are seeing it in a much quicker time frame, but I really wanted to take my time and do it right. I actually started on this a week later than I wanted to, because I needed to go get all the tools and have the right tools to be able to do it correctly. Like I purchased the heat gun and had to wait for it to come in, and the heat shrink wrap that goes around the terminals. But it really turned out nice. Very easy to do. Heat gun works really well. Makes the connection look very professional. So I was real happy with how it turned out. Again, if you check out DIY Solar, some of the YouTubes that he has, DIY Solar Power, Will Prouse, and he's just got a bunch of great videos that show you how to do all this stuff, and it was very helpful. Of course, I haven't hooked it all up yet, and I don't know that it works, but you know, following all the instructions, it should work just fine. So here I'm just attaching the connector to the negative wire on the inverter so that I can attach it directly to the fuse block. Of course, I gotta do a little bit of heat shrink with the heat gun. So I'm checking out my little diagram, pulling out this is 10 gauge wire that I'm working with here, that I'm going to run from the charge controller. That's a 40 amp fuse that I'm putting in the fuse block. So from the charge controller on the positive side, coming out of the charge controller to the fuse block, it'll be that 40 amp fuse will be in line. Here I'm letting you know it's 10 gauge wire. So I'm going to clip that and strip it and add connectors and wire it up. Coming out of the charge controller, it's pretty self-explanatory. On the far left, it's got two terminal connections that you can put they basically say PV negative, PV positive. That's photovoltaic. It's basically coming in from the solar panels. I think you hook those up last, obviously. And then the next two set of terminals are from the charge controller out to the battery for power. And then it also has two more connections for loads that you may want to run directly off the solar panel. So that wouldn't be running off the battery, it'd be running off the solar panels. So like 12-volt connections if you wanted to hook up to directly to the charge controller. So these two connections are in the middle. One's positive, one's negative. And I run one to the positive side of the fuse block and then the other one to the negative. Here I'm just trying to trim it up to make sure. I've got these little nylon wire straps that go around the wire that you can secure to the board, because once you get all those wires on there, you don't want them to come loose, and so the best thing to do is just secure them to the board. Plus it makes it look really clean. So here I'm just crimping some of the connectors to the 10 gauge wire. Of course I'll need to put the heat shrink around it. Nothing was too terribly hard. It was all pretty straightforward and easy. It's really just a matter of taking your time and making sure that you do it right. Making sure that it looks real clean and professional looking, which I think is really important. Having the right tools for the job really made it easy. I only had a razor blade to strip the sheathing away from the wire. They do make a tool that wraps around the wire and cuts it really nice, but it worked out just fine. I almost didn't buy the heat gun. I was going to use like a small torch, but glad I did because it worked out really nice. Now I'm just securing the nylon straps to the wire to hold it in place. Doing the same for the negative side, and then connecting it to the fuse box. I think the only difference on this system that I'm putting together is that on DIY Solar Power has on his website is he has a 1,000 watt inverter as opposed to purchased a 700 watt. Again, disclaimer guys, I know nothing about solar. This is my first time to put a solar system together. I'm basically did a little research and purchased all the components from Amazon and putting it together for the first time myself. I have a sneaky suspicion that I'll end up buying another solar panel. Instead of just one 100 watt, I'll probably put another 100 watt up on the roof. But we'll see how this performs. Right now I'm connecting the wires that are going to be coming off of the fuse block going to the battery. Again, fairly straightforward, pretty easy to do. I'm only out at the cabin for a day or two at a time, and really it's going to be used during hunting season more than anything, so over the weekend. So really the battery has all week long to charge up, so it's not like I need it to charge up real quickly. So I'm hoping that just one 100 watt panel will work. Right now I'm just loading up the fuse block with a bunch of fuses. So once I get it out to the tiny house, I'll have some options. If I wanted to hook up some 12 volt accessories, lights, fans, and whatnot that run off 12 volt. But I think it turned out really clean. Looks really nice. I'm just going to take two more of these nylon wire straps and secure the bigger gauge wire that runs to the battery so that nothing's tugging on them and pulling them out of the fuse block, which it shouldn't. They're fairly secure, but better to be safe than sorry. So there you go. The two ends of those wires will go to the battery, and then all I have to do is connect the solar panel MC4 connectors on one end and strip the wires on the other and put it into the charge controller. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Cold Beer Ranch. So we're out at the tiny cabin because we got the kitchen wall up here, which means we can put the solar system components up on the wall, which is where I was wanting to put it, over here in the corner of the kitchen. So you probably just saw me build all this on this board that I can mount up on the wall. And then I've got to put the battery, I think I'm gonna just build a shelf and put the battery up here for now. It'll be very, very close. We can connect it with these terminals here. I've got a 100 amp inline fuse that I need to hook up to that as well. Everything's tightened down and looks like it's gonna hold pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna set you guys up and maybe talk a little bit about what I'm doing. So the battery is a Renogy 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate smart battery. I don't know. Basically what that means is it comes with this cute little cord that you can plug into the battery and hit a button and turn it on shelf mode or off of shelf mode. So if you're going to store it for a long time, it's got shelf mode. So I'll probably use this cable once and then be done with it. We'll see. But go ahead and pull it out here. Comes packaged really nice, clean, wrapped. Oh, it's heavy. Okay. It is heavy, but yeah, there it is. So it's a Renogy lithium iron phosphate. It comes with this little area you can plug in to, yeah. So just a regular battery, and it's about that wide. That's perfect, because I think I want to mount it. I want to mount it up here high, and then have the solar panel components up there. So let me get busy. Come on. solar. I mean, maybe I can trim it out and make it look like a picture. And then I put a little ledge over here for the battery. Let me put the battery up there. There. So that's what it's going to look like. Let me take y'all over here. That's it. So I've got to come out of here and go up and then out to the solar panel, which I'll attach on the roof just up above here. So you're talking very, very short runs from there to the charge controller. You can see how close the charge controller is to the battery to the inverter with the fuse box. Small runs, so it should be minimal loss. So yeah. It looks good. I mean, it is what it is, you know? But we'll have power here in just a minute. I got to get up on the roof. Not looking forward to that, to put the solar panel. But, yeah, getting there. Cold beer. So this, look like I'm sneaking in. So this Renogy inverter comes with, they're calling it a remote, but it's basically plugged into the inverter. You can run this wire over here, and with the way the door opens, I think I'm gonna put a little switch right here on the kitchen wall. So if you can see that there, it's like an on-off switch for the inverter, and we'll just mount it right here and then run this wire over to the inverter, and be like having a little light switch. We'll hook that lamp up to it when we come in. We can flip that switch and things will power up. So yeah, here we go. That is clean. Look at that. It's like a light switch. So I've got a 100 amp mega fuse right here. That bolts onto the to the battery. So 100 amp mega fuse right there. So we got that. Okay, I got the solar panel right here. Kind of leaned up against the wall, and I'm gonna put the brackets on so that I can mount it on the roof. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all can hear the thunder as I put up solar panels on the roof. Crazy. Okay, I got done. Wind's picking up. It's getting dark outside, and I think it's gonna rain. Let me take you up here and show you what I did. So to keep those pesky squirrels from nibbling on my cables that go to my solar panel, I bought this flex hose and caulked the crap out of it. That'll dry clear. And then it runs up here underneath the solar panels. One panel, right there. Not a lot of sun getting on it now, but during the day, sun comes. I'm gonna clear some of these out over here to help out. But there's the roof. You can see it's picking up. Figures, doesn't it? Let me get off this roof, get this ladder up, and then get inside and hook these things up. Not that they'll do anything. Man, you hear it? Whoa, look at this. Let me get off this roof. Holy moly. This is crazy. Holy crap, guys. I don't know if y'all saw that. Hopefully we can go back and look. That camera got the wind just started blowing. I bet it dropped 10 degrees. It's a lot cooler out. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it looks like nighttime. But luckily I got a tiny house to take shelter. So all I got's my little lamp. But boy, that breeze feels good. You can see the trees. They're just moving. So crazy weather. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but I'm gonna show you the inside where that hose comes in the house. Right there. I don't know if you can see it or not. Right here. That's coming from the solar panels that'll go to the charge controller. So I'm gonna hook this thing up. I'm gonna have power, but wish I had more lights to turn on. This is crazy. All right, I'll check you guys back in a minute. Sure does feel good though. Oh, that breeze feels amazing. That wind is a kicking.